So, life has this way of occurring. Perhaps you've had the experience where there's something that you desired in your life and someone said, "No, that's not possible." Have you ever had something that you wanted to create and the feedback that you got was, "That will never happen"? Basically every job I've ever had, I did not have the qualifications for, right? There was a whole list of things that I was told needed to be in place that weren't in place. And if I had operated with the expectation that I needed those things in place, I would not be with the experience that I have today. Someone said that light was not possible. Someone said that gasoline-fueled cars was not possible. Someone said that electrically driven cars was not possible, right? Someone said that, and then someone else said, "No, but I think it is possible." All that is between those two ideas is a thought. There is something that is occurring in any one of our lives that we are either saying yes to or saying no to. When we were in Europe and found out that this festival was occurring, and we looked at it, and I thought, well, first of all, it would be very cool of me as a mom to take my daughter to a festival. Like, I knew that that would be a very cool thing. But I didn't know any of the names on the bill except for Erykah Badu and Nas. All of the others were like Twiggy, Figgy, and Chloe, Loey, and I didn't know any of them. And unlike festivals in the United States, the last act goes on at like 4 a.m. So it was a very large gamble for me to spend €100 per ticket on Twiggy Figgy at 4 a.m. And so my daughter said, "Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea, because I want to see that Twiggy Figgy, and you probably won't last until 4 a.m. I said, "That's probably true." So it was funny that the thought was there. The thought existed. It would be fun to go to the festival. I did not have a whole body yes to 200 plus euros for the festival. And then isn't that funny that I would run into a friend in Barcelona who said, "Lola, you should go to this festival. And your daughter should be there. And I'm going to see what I can do." And we went to the festival. We didn't even have to pay for the festival in Barcelona. I'm saying, like, your mind has the capacity to create outcomes when you release attachment to how you get there. Like, it wasn't an accident that the thought occurred. First of all, it wasn't an accident that my daughter, who is a singer-songwriter producer in Berlin studying music, now in Barcelona, in one of the largest Coachella-esque festivals, on the 3 days we were there. And that then I would have the thought it would be cool to go, and I had an unwillingness to cut the check, and yet a way was made. And you could say, are these really the biggest issues that you're working on? And I would say, for today, yes. I work on lots of issues, but a music festival, it served us. Now, what's ironic is that Erykah Badu, for some very odd reason, made an appearance on my 2018 vision board. Just like, first of all, she's a Reiki master. She's a doula. She's a DJ. She's a producer. Her whole house in Dallas is it's literally like a sanctuary. And who she is for me is a wholly integrated human. She's not just like a recording artist. She's not just a doula. She says yes to all of what she's interested in being, and then she steps into it. And so who she is for me is a mental equivalent of a life I desire, a fully integrated life, where you can be this, you can be that, you can be this, you can be that. You are not only this or only that. She lives as a fully embodied expression of life. So interesting that she would show up on my vision board. And then interesting, see, you're in a quantum field of awareness. You think that time is linear. Time is made up. It's not real. A thought comes into your awareness, and you literally have everything that you need to amplify that which you desire. The only thing that gets in the way between you and me and the life we want is a thought. That's it. So this idea of transform, to rise above form, the world of form, the material realm. The material realm is the outpicturing of a field of conscious awareness. That's all that's happening here. Someone had a thought floor and created floor. Someone had a thought platform sneakers and created platform sneakers, and I wish they'd make some more because they haven't put them out in about 5 years. But all of life is just the creation, the amplification, the animation of a thought into form. So there is no reason why you and I cannot have that which we desire. Now, what would be even more interesting than manifesting concerts and guest lists would be like that, and who are you here to be? What's the impact? You pressed into this dimension of reality at this time and space with a unique and holy expression that only you can bring forward. So there's this guy, Ernest Holmes. Thank you. Thank you. Right. That's my son giving me props for that download of truth. So Ernest Holmes says it like this: the body is healed as the inner mind is transformed. I just want to pause there for a second, because if you see that, you might take this literally and think the body is healed. That could be. But what it's actually talking to here, the body is the world of form. It's not talking about your physical body. It is also talking about your physical body, but it's talking about the material realm. The body is healed as the inner mind is transformed. Remember, consciousness creates. Mind precedes body. Thought precedes form. So the body is healed when the inner mind is transformed, as the old and false images of thought are renewed by images of truth and life. The process through which this renewing takes place is a conscious one and may be practiced by anyone who understands the principle involved. See, the creative process is always working. The creative process is always creating. You're either creating with it consciously or unconsciously. See, this practice is a conscious practice. If you want to renew your mind, if you want to transform the experience of life that you're living in, you have to first start at the level of the mind. The very premise of this place is that nothing is happening to you. Nothing is happening to you. It's very, very tempting. The world will give you all kinds of seductions to lead you into a school of thought that something is happening to you. That doesn't mean injustice or inequity does not exist. It just means that you choose to be at the effect of it or not. So the opportunity is to really transcend into a new realm of consciousness. That is what is needed and wanted on the planet at this time and space. We all can see that victim states of consciousness are not moving anything forward. We have been living entrenched in schools of thought of blame and criticism. And it's highly addictive. Your biology, it's like a hit. It is addictive. And when you give it, it wants more, wants more. Who's to blame? Who's to blame? Who's to blame? Who's to blame? Why is it like this? Why is it like this? Why is it like this? This is so ironic. We were at the Erykah Badu concert. If you know anything about Erykah Badu, her whole field of existence is about life, about the expansion of life. And my daughter and I are singing. We're just like, it's beautiful. It's Barcelona. We're singing. It's Erykah Badu. And this man turns around and he goes, I didn't come to hear you. I came to hear her. Now, first of all, you obviously don't go to many concerts. But it was very ironic that someone would have that kind of a prickly disposition at an Erykah Badu concert. And I watched my mind, Lola, will you let this man take you out? I was about to take him out, but will you let him take you out? Because you know me, and I'm not afraid of fight. But I was like, my priestess is before me. I need to be in reverence to her. Let me breathe. Because we are not here for that. But life will show up however it shows up, and you have this thing called free will. You choose. See, the promise is not that life will be easy. The promise is not that you will be applauded for your brilliance everywhere you go. Likely not going to happen. While we were together, we was just in the wake of the release of this TED Talk. My daughter had just released a single, and it was really brilliant to watch her. My experience with her as a reflection of me. You know, who does not love some affirming feedback? We love affirming feedback, right? But you could get 97,000 affirmations and one critique, and out you go. And fixated on it. You know, I had a friend who does not speak for a living send me a very thorough email of all their feedback of my TED Talk. And I was like, oh! And it really took me something to transform, to rise above the appearance before me. Whether it is the man who is telling us to zip it, whether it is the friend that is giving a bounty of feedback, can you rise above that which is before you? See, this Ernest Holmes quote is actually based on a quote from the Christian Bible. And, you know, for me, the Bible is not dissimilar from Greek mythology, for example. I do not relate to the Bible as anything with greater credence than any other number of sacred texts, whether that be Harry Potter, or whether that be Shakespeare, or whether that be Audre Lorde. The Bible was just a channel, a body of work that actually exceeds Greek mythology in terms of qualification for mythology. Just want to create that context. So in this mythological book of literature, it is said, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds, so that you may discern what is the will of God, what is the will of love, what is the will of life, what is the will of good, whatever word works for you, what is good and acceptable and perfect. Do not be conformed to this world. What it is saying is, if You are in reaction to the manifest realm, the material realm. You are always like a puppet on someone's strings. But if you can first get clear here, have your mental space be open, available. I was saying this morning, it can be unnerving to live this way. It can be unnerving to live based on the unseen realm. To not know what is coming next is unnerving. I don't experience it always as easy. You know we have this physical space until the end of July. That means we don't know what is happening August 1st. That is unnerving. And yet, it is what's so. So you gotta trust something greater is happening here. Now, perhaps there is something in your life that you cannot see the next step before you. Does that mean it's wrong? No. It means you're on some kind of master level journey. See, I prefer to know exactly what's going to happen. And when I know what's going to happen, I'm exceptional at executing the plan. When the plan is not there, it is a kind of trust walk. That, though, in my opinion, is the real opportunity for spiritual maturation. Anybody can take a walk when they know the way. Anybody can follow GPS. But when you're just one foot in front of the other, I don't know what's next. You know, we put out a video last week saying, change is inevitable. That much you can count on. That was sort of the video. And then someone commented, so you're not going to have a physical space. To which I responded, do you want a physical space? Like, what do we want to create together? What do we want to take collective responsibility for having? If we were to transform the model of community, what would that look like? You know, I talked to my good friend Galen McDowell recently, and he said to me, you know, Lola, you told me to look into this thing, the drama triangle. Victim, villain, hero. And your suggestion to me was that living in drama was not of highest experience. And that in drama, there always must be a victim, a villain, and a hero. And I said, yes, that's right. I said, what do you think? He said, I think you're right. And I think that most communities occur within the drama triangle, where there is a victim, a villain, and a hero. And the leader is usually dancing somewhere between villain and hero. When things are going well, they're the hero. But when things aren't going well, they're the villain. Now, someone has a situation playing over here. Some music. Tony. Brother. Tony. I think you have some music going. I didn't mean to wake you up, but I know you're just getting the download. So it's collective responsibility. We're all in this together. Right? Because I will tell you, my experience has been like, I feel like sometimes we're up here and folks are watching TV. And it's not very inspiring. So if we were to shake this whole thing up and transform, rise above the form we currently know, what else could be possible? You could map that onto your life. You could map that onto your money. You could map that onto this place. If we were to rise above that which we know, what else could become possible? See, something in you knows. Something in you knows what is yours to do. In your own life, at this place, on the planet, something in you knows. But most of us have gotten so far away from listening to that one that we are working from the outside in versus the inside out. It is unconventional to stand up here and say, turns out in 8 weeks we have no idea what we're doing next. But that's life. Sometimes you don't know what's next. Here's what I do know. This place matters because it disrupts fixed loops of scarcity, lack, and limitation. That I do know. And you know, when I was at Bank of America, they had, I think, like 3 groupings of people. The early adopters, and then the other 2, I don't remember who those 2 were. But they were not the early adopters. Some were like, all right. And then some were like. And so anytime transformation occurs, you get to decide. You get to choose. Who will you be? All of a sudden, a divorce is upon you that you did not expect. Who will you be? All of a sudden, a job loss is upon you that you did not expect. Who will you be? All of a sudden, a parent dies. You did not expect it. Who will you be? Who will you be? So, there is this practice that human beings have of focusing on that which we do not want. Perhaps you're familiar with that. Sometimes it looks like this. I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be old. I don't want to live here. I don't want to have this relationship. I don't want to be like my mother or my father. Now, hear yourself. I don't know how you say this. You say these things in a particular way. I don't want to be stuck in this job. I don't want to have this hair, this nose, this body. I don't want to be lonely. I don't want to be unhappy. I don't want to be sick. Now, remember, the creative process is always creating. So you are speaking your word into the action of universal law, which always responds to the nature of your song. So whatever it's impersonal. It is not attached to a particular outcome. It's attached to giving you that which you say you desire. I don't want this job. And so it is. I don't want this husband. And so it is. Not, and so it is to you don't have that. And so it is to the vibration that you are generating. Do you remember a few weeks ago, I said that one of my early teachers said, get yourself set up on an automatic debt repayment plan and then focus on prosperity. Why? Stop focusing on your debt. That which you put your attention on expands. Now you got it. This is like threading a needle here. Because if you misunderstand this teaching, you will do what is called spiritual bypass. and you will jump over your unfelt feelings, and then you'll wonder why this stuff doesn't work. You don't want this job? Okay, what do you want? So let's get clear on what you do want. And then let's create that. Let's amplify that. Transcend the form. Rise above the world of form. You've heard it a million times before. Einstein says you cannot solve the problem at the level of consciousness that created the problem. So if we sit here and go, I'm attached to this Bodhi spot, looking and being and doing the way that it always has been. I want that. That's not how life works. There is an evolutionary impulse forward. So, this is the idea. We've been talking about this for a couple years now. Do I walk on the planet in a state of openness and curiosity? Remember I always say loose knees? Or closed and defensive? This isn't right. I'm in a transactional relationship with life. I want what I want it on my terms. Good luck. Welcome to a life of suffering. Transform. Rise above, shift, change the form. There's a beautiful book called Discover a Richer Life. And this guy, Ernest Holmes, who, by the way, I just want to say this. This community was founded on teachings largely inspired by this guy, Ernest Holmes. This guy, Ernest Holmes, had been trained by people out of the Unity movement, had been trained by people out of the Christian Science movement, had been trained by the Bhagavad Gita. And when he decided to put his body of work together, he said, I don't want to create a church. I just want to create a kind of education of life so that people can untangle themselves from religious dogma and doctrine that keeps them stuck. I want to interrupt the status quo. And Galen said to me recently, he said, the biggest mistake the New Thought movement made was building itself in a Judeo-Christian framework. If you watch the TED Talk, there are no statistics to support the flourishing of traditional frameworks of religious community. There is no statistical evidence to support that. So, what do we want to create? What else could be possible that requires us to tap into the creative mind? Because if we look at the level that we know, it's not there. It's not there. We will create what we already have. I said this morning, Sunday mornings have been something that I have enjoyed for 15 years here. It may not look like Sunday mornings. I don't know what it's going to look like. But if you want to have a say in that, we invited you to send an email at the very least to office@bodhispiritualcenter.org, and as of 3 days ago, we had gotten none. So please don't email me after July saying you have lots of great ideas, because the decisions will be made by them, beloved. If you want something, now is the time. We have, or I'm assuming you're just trusting us, which is great. But something is being transformed, and that is not unique to this place. Look at every system and structure in society. Everything is breaking down. Everything is being transformed. That's good. That which has been working for some, not for all, is no longer working for everybody. It never did. So we're creating something new. Sometimes people have said, like, why isn't this place packed? Because there are not so many early adopters. Most of humanity is not an early adopter. If we were selling salvation, it could be packed for another 10 years. But not forever, because the consciousness of humanity is waking up. And that is good. So, perhaps this is a mirror for what's occurring in your life. What is occurring at Bodhi feels like a mirror for what's occurring in my life. I don't know. Well, now, come on. Someone else fall asleep? This is a reflection of what is occurring on the planet. Nothing happens in isolation. Nothing happens as a silo. Everything is interconnected. This community has always been sort of a futurist movement. So who knows what's to come? But I hope that you will contribute your creative energy through your meditation practice, through your intentionality to what is emerging, what is forthcoming. Some of us will, some of us won't, and it'll all be perfect.